What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we got a Banner of War video for us Titan mains. Yeah, I don't know what it is, Bungie and Banner of War, but
When I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
like, come on. I was having so much fun with other builds and other stuff. It's crazy. But there is an incredibly good reason for this, due to Act 2 being out. There's a new activity, specifically Contest of the Elders. It's basically Tomb of the Elders, the contest versions, the more in-depth one, the one you want to grind for and things like that. It's just a ton of stuff, including some Champion of the Elders, as well as some other buffs to roaming supers and an unpowered melee buff that occurred to Titans last act. Banner of War is hands down the perfect build for this activity. Granted, I could probably make a prismatic build for this activity and probably will, but with that being said, on the Banner of War stuff, let's jump into it. We got a lot to go over, but before we do that, just want to say that we need to get a few things out the way. If you guys want to pull this link for this build, in the pinned comment and description there will be a dim link for that build. Also, for more content on Destiny 2 and other stuff on the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell to be notified for when I do drop more content. With that being said, let's jump into the video. Banner of War is nothing new to us Titan mains. It's the holy grail of survivability for the class. We punch something, we get a stack of Banner of War, and then we kill a lot of things and become a walking tank from there on out. We got it. We've been through this road down before. However, there's been a few changes in the philosophy and loadout compared to my last Banner of War video in, I think, April 15th, I believe I posted that. So there's a lot of stuff to go over in a way to kind of freshen things up. Now, for one, we're only going to be focusing in on one exotic. In the past, I have talked about Worm God Caress and synthoceps. Synthoceps is going to be the one exotic we are mentioning and talking about in this build. For the longest time, I would recommend Worm God Caress as being an even better Banner of War option when compared to synthoceps, but things have changed, especially for the activity we're using this in, and of course, roaming super, specifically Blade Fury. Synthoceps offers an increased 50% to super damage, where Worm God Caress does not offer that 50% buff to supers. It's also important to mention that we are talking about the synthoceps exotic. Do not put on Stoicism with Spirit of Synthoceps. That only works for Prismatic, and you can't really get any Banner of War stuff out of that because Prismatic doesn't have Banner of War. Now, back on the track, while Worm God Caress does offer a higher potential and damage buff to melee, specifically this is a 275% buff versus a 165% buff on synthoceps. It is not worth it at the moment with the idea of using our super as much as we want. And that change was outlined in yesterday's patch notes, stating that they increased the super gains per damage event against PvE combatants by roughly 3 times. Again, this is a PvE change, not a PvP change. And while this isn't related to Contest of the Elders, because there is currently no champions in this activity, they also increase the damage by 30 to 55% on champions depending on the super. This of course is not tested at the moment. Hopefully we have more information on that pretty soon. Secondly, another thing to mention is that we are not in a very strand friendly artifact at the moment. There is basically no value for strand in the Revenant artifact as of Act 2, so it puts even more pressure on our loadouts to make up the ground there, but don't worry, we are definitely making up some ground with the loadout here. Now, that being said and all out the way, let's jump into game and talk about this build. So here we are in game, and of course I would love to show off the drip. Yeah, the fashion here is incredible. Specifically, guys, if you want the exact details, this is what we got here. I love it. This is probably one of my favorite drips fashions in Destiny right now, at least what I've done. In general, as you guys see here, before we jump into the build, let's talk about the loadout real quick. We're using Rufus Fury. This is a 720 RPM auto rifle, rewind rounds, paracausal affinity is going to be the crafted roll, of course, armor piercer rounds, course arrowhead break specifically, and then we have a heavy ammo finder enhancements. We're using Icebreaker exotic. If you guys don't have an Icebreaker exotic, any other exotic in this category is perfectly fine. If you guys want to use a legendary weapon, potentially something like Indebted Kindness, be my guest, and then use your exotic here. And then we have Versus Chill Inhibitor. This is the Vespers Host grenade launcher. It is the best grenade launcher in the game. We'll talk about this after the build, but you're going to want to get this, especially if you completed your Vespers Host at least once. Banshee has the God roll, but we'll get into more details after this. So let's jump in, talk about the build here. Nothing too crazy. We're using a rally barricade, 38-second cooldown compared to the minute and 10-second cooldown. Again, resilience does affect this, and we're maxed out there. So we're going to get this really fast, and you see with the mod, we're really utilizing this in a certain way. High lift is my preferred jump, whatever suits your boat there. Of course, we have Frenzy Blade. We're going to have multiple hits. This is one of the best power melees for Titans. And then we have Grapple for our grenade. We're going to be utilizing the Grapple Grenade melee. There is a buff to this for Titan specifically. Unpowered melees got I believe a 20% buff or a 5% buff, something like that, in terms of increasing the damage. So the Grapple melees inherently feel a little bit more juicy. I don't know why they did that, but Bungie just sometimes overlooks things. Aspects: into the fray, destroying a tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail. Woven Mail is incredible, basically helping with some of that survivability and things like that. And while you have Woven Mail, your melee regeneration rate is increased. This is incredible for just the idea of punching things and being a Titan and things like that. And then of course, Banner of War is the aspect of choice, defeating a target with your melee attack, finisher, or sword to raise a Banner of War that pulses energy, periodically healing nearby allies and increasing melee and sword damage. And then targets defeated by you and your nearby allies charge Banner, increasing the speed of its pulses. Some changes, some nerfs here that really, I do think, include a mention. They increase the amount of kills it takes to proc an additional stack of Banner of War. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out the realm of what you'll be experiencing in Contest of Elders or Tomb of Elders. So again, some of the stuff is perfectly fine. Even the duration has been shortened, I believe, by a couple seconds. Again, nothing too crazy, just something to bring it more down to earth. Our fragments: we have Thread of Generation, dealing damage, generates grenade energy. This is for grapple, works very well. Thread of Fury, damaging targets with a tangle, grants melee energy, again feeding into our melee regeneration, punching things more often. Thread of Warding, picking up overpower, grants Woven Mail. Again, Woven Mail, one of the best, I guess you could say, verbs for the Titan Banner of War class. Really underrated, gives some damage resistance, gives you that melee regeneration with Into the Fray. Really good stuff here. Must have fragment in my opinion. And then we have Thread of Continuity, suspend, unravel, and sever effects applied. Two targets have increased duration. Again, sever is the main thing we're going to be using with our super. It basically is a debuff, and it is incredible. It's one of my favorite debuffs in the game. So for your armor mods, really important here, you'll see with the artifact, you can do a few things. We have hands-on and ashes to assets. This is actually really important when it comes to grapple melee. The benefit is 50% less than what you normally would get for a regular grenade final blow. So just keep that in mind, that the benefits aren't as stacked or juiced as you want it to be. We have two heavy-handed due to the fact of a authorized mods for melee, and then we have impact induction for causing damage to your power melee attack, reduces your grenade cooldown, helping with our grapple stuff. For our chest piece, we have stasis reserves, and then we have sniper damage resistance and concussive dampener, just to help us with survivability in Contest of the Elders. For our legs, we have innervation and invigoration with a stasis weapon surge, as you guys know, with our chill inhibitor. And then for our mark, we have time dilation, we have explosive finisher for our grapple melee, and then we have outreach. Again, you can, if you are using a special weapon loadout, you have two special weapons, you could use special ammo finisher here, you could switch that up. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the armor mods. When it comes to our artifact, really guys, like concussive reload, rapid impacts, and authorized mods melee are going to be the three big ones you really want. I don't really know like exactly what they were kind of going for here. Maybe think of it could be something juicier. I don't know. I haven't really tested this one out. This could be another one you mentioned, but yeah, it's pretty much the artifact, it's pretty much the loadout, it's pretty much the mods, it's pretty much the build. Let's give you guys some other important information like chill inhibitor before we wrap up this video. So versus chill inhibitor, the grenade launcher, power grenade launcher from Vesper's host, is giving away a god roll. And it's specifically giving away the ultimate god roll of bait and switch, envious arsenal, spike grenades. It's a great combo. This right now at the moment is at Banshee as of making this video. You need to have completed Vesper's host to get this god roll. Guys, if you completed Vesper's host and you hated it and you don't ever want to play Destiny again, I don't care. Install the game, go to the tower, go to Banshee, grab this. It is one of the best DPS weapons in the game. It is extremely synergetic with Envious Arsenal, requiring you to shoot at least damage with other weapons to refill this magazine to then use bait and switch. It's like the perfect combination. It shouldn't exist, but it does. So I recommend you guys get it. really hones in on the overall potential of this Banner of War in Contest of Elders. But in general, yeah, this is an incredible standard Banner of War build video. A few, hopefully, reminders, buff changes, and things like that to kind of get you going in terms of understanding this Banner of War build in this PvE sandbox. Because again, things have changed and there's some important stuff to understand now since things have changed. But in general, guys, if you have enjoyed the content, be sure to drop this video a like, helps out the video a ton. And of course, for more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified when I do drop more content. If you guys have a comment on anything regarding this build, information, maybe some things you'll change around, drop a comment down below. We can have a conversation about it. But until then, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.